Hey guys, so I am going over this video from day one with the Mustang, and I wanted to take a bit to talk about what my goals are now that she's home and what you guys are going to be watching me do for the next couple of days as we get settled in and get started with our groundwork and training process. So personally, as a trainer, my goals with a wild horse are going to be very similar to what they would be with a horse who's been around humans its entire life. And that is groundwork first, and then move on to more complicated in-your-face kind of skills like saddling and exposure to all the different elements of life that a horse comes to know as they live in a barn around people. And then, of course, riding would be last. And when I say groundwork first, I really mean groundwork first. This might be something that's kind of different than you will have seen with some other Mustangs. I actually am hoping to do all of my groundwork without care for approaching or touching my horse. I don't want to try and corner her into accepting my physical contact. I want that to be something that she initiates. And hopefully that, works out. This is my first time working with a Mustang, and, I say that now, but for all I know, we get to day 15, day 30, and that touch hasn't happened yet. I might have to change my approach. But it is a 100-day horse. If I had unlimited time, this would be the approach I go with. I can't tell you where this is going to end. All I can tell you is how it's going to begin. So this is me on day one working with the Mustang. When I say groundwork first, obviously the very first thing that comes to mind is desensitizing. Not necessarily to scary objects, but to myself as a human being. Desensitizing can typically take place in two ways. You either flood the horse until they learn that standing still is the only way to make that scary stimulus go away, or you try and stay below the fear threshold. You can kind of think of it as just a step outside of the comfort zone without going too far. Because if we go too far, I will flood the horse and she'll shut down. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where you were feeling kind of shut down. But learning doesn't really occur there. So I want her to get used to my presence without fear. That's why I'm moving my arm around right here in the video. Basically, I'm looking for a response from her, a flick of the ear, the turn of the head, turning to face me. So there I'm like, playing around with that. There's bugs in the arena, so I'm swatting at the bugs. I'm like, hey, look, if I do this, it doesn't always mean something. And just the fact that she's calm and accepting that. She doesn't really want to have her attention on me, but all of that is a really good sign. So once she's kind of used to my presence, then I'm going to start my true groundwork, which is actually the same that I do with my Liberty horses, and it is all the same process, all the same movements, and all the same asks and answers. So it always starts, if I want my horse to move, I will point in the direction I want them to go. And if you think you have a horse on a lunge line, for instance, if you are lunging a horse, the rope is connected to the lead rope, you have the lead rope in your leading hand. So if I'm lunging my horse to the right, the rope will be in my right hand. So if I point with my right hand, that rope is going to follow, and that is what tells my horse to go forward. I know there's some people who do offhand lunging. I don't care for it. I want to have my offhand for encouragement, for the whip, especially if I'm doing Liberty work with the double whips, then that can really help to drive and signal my horse. So I'm moving my hand around, just getting her used to my presence. I'm looking for that flick of an ear, and then I'm also stopping when I notice things like her nostrils getting off-centered. So you can actually watch the horse head on, and if one nostril looks bigger than the other, it's a sign that she's concerned. It's actually a sign that they're trying to process something, or maybe even getting to a fearful state. And when that happens, I try and rest and wait for something like this, where you get that really subtle lick and chew, and then she gets curious again. So I love that. And I'm trying to encourage that by not scaring her away. So pretty much all of day one looked like this. I hung out in the arena. I would apply pressure either with a hand. I'd even look at her, and then when she looked at me, I'd look away, just like that. And all of that is just initiating this dance. And if you've worked with me any at all when we're riding together, I refer to lots of different things when we're working with horses as a dance. And this is no different. So we are getting ready for our very first dance together. And that is actually something that we got to on day 2 and 3. But for today, it's just this idea for her that I'm responding to her subtle cues, that I'm listening to her, but also that I can make movements that mean something. They're not just random. And that's what's most scary for these Mustangs, is seeing things happening to them that are totally random and they can't figure out what's going on. As she learns that I'm actually communicating with her and she learns how to communicate back with me, we're going to start seeing a really big difference in her as she plays with that. And that's when we're going to get to the really fun stuff. That's when she's going to feel comfortable approaching me for that first touch, that magic moment. But if we don't get there today, we don't get there this week, I'm not worried, because there's so many other things we can work on. Well, here at the barn for day 2, and it is rainy. So probably we're going to be working on desensitizing to my flappy rain jacket just as much as to me. And if the way that yesterday went is any indication, she's probably going to be pretty curious about what this contraption is that I'm wearing. I don't have a setup for my phone yet, so hopefully it doesn't fall in the dirt today, because that dirt is now mud. And we're going to go and visit the Mustang and see how she's doing. Hey, honey. She's like, what's that? Who's there? So for work today, we are starting with desensitizing, just like we did yesterday. Horses aren't always the best at differentiating between different items. She might not completely recognize me as the same person with my rain jacket on. I'm not quite sure what they think, but she knows it's different. So first thing I'm doing is just keeping an eye on her, trying to stay still and consistent. I realize that my hands in my pockets might look a little bit weird because, who can do that? You just make your hands disappear. So I pulled them out and tried to keep them at my side, tried to relax. And when she turns to look at me, which you can't see in the frame, but she did, I take a step back. So this is the very first step of that dance, which is you turn towards me and I make space for you. And this is what leads into that whole drawing and sending thing that you do in Liberty work, where you get the horse to step towards you when you need them to and to get closer, but also further away. If this was the kind of horse that was dangerous, where she was really pushy, I had her so fearful that she wanted to run me over, then I would be doing something different. But because she's such a standoffish horse, because she is okay turning towards me and holding herself accountable for her movement, and not trying to run me over, not just like running towards me, but like just turning and waiting and watching, I feel comfortable backing up and creating space for her. It's something that some people might have said not to do in horsemanship. I know I've been told not to back away from a horse on a time or two. But there's a purpose for it, and it's part of that relationship building. She needs to know that I make space for her. I'm not just going to shoo her away at all times. I'm not a disciplinarian. I'm the leader, but this is still a partnership. So see, I stop when she's turning to face me. It's good that she's relaxed enough to poop instead of clamping down. And then the other part of that dance is when she draws away from me, I kind of follow with her. So notice how I'm always stepping forward. I'm very intentional about when I step forward and when I step back. So here she faced me again, I step back. She starts walking away, I step forward. So I'm turning slowly, I'm maintaining where I am. When she looks at me, I step back to offer that reward for that curiosity. I'm really just the entire time trying to reward her curiosity. So that is the main goal for today again. I don't, again, care how far I get, as long as I end on a somewhat better note than I did yesterday. And yesterday, we ended with her just being desensitized to me. And today, she is so comfortable drawing towards me. She's not turning her butt to me when she tries to change directions on the fence. And she's testing. She really is testing this idea that when she draws towards me, I step back. So you can see that she's, thinking about it. She's licking and chewing. And it's so cool to actually feel her playing with this new toy. She's like, wait, am I actually controlling this situation? She's trying it out. So she tries it. She's like, all right, I turn sideways. I see you step forward. And there's not fear there when I step towards her now. So that's really, really cool. It was also neat. We got to a point later on where the rules changed, where I tried to basically add a little bit more. I recognized that she was testing me. I'm like, okay, well, obviously you're ready for the next step. And she threw her head in the air and got kind of frustrated. She's like, hey, that's against the rules. That's not what we were doing. But she's pretty good about approaching me and paying attention. And that's just so great to see. So here we are. This is day 3. And I'm just going to apologize now. I've been set up with a nice tripod for my phone, but my phone is not handling all these videos. And Mustang and I actually got some really good work done today, and I got a text message 6 minutes in, and my phone decided that it cannot video and text at the same time. So I do not have footage from all the rest of the stuff we did after our very first 5 minutes of work, and I'm really sad about that. But planning on getting a GoPro this afternoon, actually, and then tomorrow we'll start videoing again and set it up. So today I'm doing almost the same thing I did the day before. I have actually carried the flag around the pen with the horse. I did that yesterday as I was picking up poop. I just carried it with me and she got used to it, so that's not a totally new thing to see me carrying the flag. It is new for me to be in the pen with her carrying the flag. And what I'm adding today is this point whenever I want her to step off. So we've been doing our dance. She knows to look at me, and when she approaches and looks at me, that is the sweet spot where I am neutral. But when she turns away from me, I step towards her, and she's played with that idea. So there I step towards her again, move towards the butt. But this point to go is new. So I'm creating this new communication tool. It's the next step in our dance, the next dance move. And essentially I point where I want her to go, and I expect her to walk or trot off. I don't care which, ideally just to step off. And the order of operations is I point, I give her a few seconds, and if she doesn't go, I kiss that noise with my mouth, which you won't be able to hear. And then if that doesn't work, then I wiggle the flag. See how I wiggled it there? And that was a little bit much for her. And obviously a Mustang is really reactive. I don't necessarily need a flag to get her to go, but I do want her to be desensitized to the flag, not where she shuts down when she sees it, but to where she knows it's not going to hurt her, and she's comfortable with it being used as a tool for learning, and it doesn't instantly cause fear when I use it. So I'm talking to her, she turned to face me, so I'm giving her that rest. She takes a step towards me and I reward by backing up, taking more pressure off, and we're just learning that dance together. This is about the point where the video shut off for the day, but I did get to work with her for about another 45 minutes after this. There was a lot of just standing around, hanging out. And this horse is just so cool. I love how attentive she is to my body language. It is like everything you would find in a domesticated horse, but more. I don't know really how to say it besides that. She's just like a domestic horse, but more so. She's the horsiest horse I've ever worked with. So it's really neat being able to get really subtle with my cues, and just watching her learn them. And my favorite part of every day is once she gets the hang of the new skill we're learning and just seeing her play with it. She's like, oh, I can turn towards you and stop, but what if I do it this way? What if I do it over here? And it almost gets to the point where she seems to feel like she's training me. And I'm okay with that, because that just shows that there's two-way communication going on, both between me and between her. So we hang out for a lot. I didn't get her on video here as well, but she's standing right by the stall door, just watching me, turn to face me, and every once in a while she'll take a step towards me. So good stuff for today, and that's where I'm going to wrap up. Really nothing crazy exciting, but this is what goes into my training process with a Mustang. It's what goes into my training process with any horse. It doesn't have to be exciting for it to be good horsemanship. And the most important thing is that I'm sharing exactly what I would do with you So if you have questions or want to try and recreate it, you can. So she's getting pretty close here. That was such a cool thing to see. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here for today, and we'll see if we can get some better footage tomorrow. I'm going to try and show you guys all the cool groundwork that she has come to learn, and all of this is all without worrying about that first touch. I don't want to care about that at all until I can get all of our groundwork done, and I feel like once that happens, that's going to become pretty natural for her.